Okay. And Dr. Noori Garu is supposed to do the summary.
Yes, sir. Hari Om, Prabhuji.
Where are you? Oh, you are in the first. Okay. Okay. Let us go ahead and start with the prayer. Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhita Mastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. Jnata jnanam tata jneyam drashta darshana drushyabhu karta hetu kriya yasmat tasmai jnatyatmane namaha. Spuranti sikara yasmadantya
Anandasyatma
oh anandasvera
ambare vanu.
okay. Sarvesham jivanam tasmai brahmanandatmane namaha. Divi bhutau tatha kasho bahirantascha me vibhuhu yo vibhatya
Avabhasatma.
avbhasatma tasmai sarvatmane namaha.
Namaha. Correct. Very, very nice.
This is from the page 244. This is from the presentation starting from the 30 to 39. Is mostly it is, Leela enters into the world of Viduratha, witnessing a terrible battle. This is the story to start with. And this Swamiji's comment is, Leela saw numerous worlds, appears like bubbles in the vastness of consciousness. People who are deluded by ignorance perceive all these illusory worlds in pure consciousness. Leela and Goddess Saraswati, after penetrating through vast space, reached the Viduratha world. Many years have passed at Viduratha world, and he was in his war with King Sindhu. Section 40, the nature of the subtle body. Vashishta answering to Rama, if one is established in the conviction, I am not the gross body, I am the subtle, all-pervading self, can enter wherever they want. Yogis with psychic powers also can reduce their bodies to any size because they are not identified with their bodies. Every human being is mental in nature. Even this mental body is nothing but self. If one is established in this wisdom, nothing on this earth is inaccessible. Just like dream state, one does not go anywhere. The death is an act of mind. He only experiences his journey into the astral world. From the point of absolute, there is nowhere to go. One is always self that transcends time and space. Both Bhutakasha and Chitakasha is an appearance sustained by the ether of the self, Chidakasha. Even though both physical body and astral body, subtle body, are illusions sustained by self. From relative standpoint, mind has greater power of pervasion. This world is all apparent delusion, reflection in the cosmic mind. When the individual mind, bereft of the egoistic vision, becomes aware of the fact that it is nothing but the cosmic mind. Every individual possesses the potentiality of the cosmic mind. This creation is mental in nature, which is subtle, but due to limitations of the mind, it appears gross. This solid world is sustained by sankalpa of the mind. It's advice to Rama by the Vashishta. Meditate on the fact that the world is nothing but the mind, and the mind is nothing but the self. The self is the only reality. Section 41, it's mainly the story of ancestry of Viduratha and Leela too. Mainly how the space and time delude us. Goddess says, O king, you are essentially divine. This is Goddess Saraswati is talking to Viduratha. For one who has intuitional vision, the self alone exists. Whether rope is recognized in the fallacy of snake, snake disappears. When the world is realized on Brahman, it can no longer delude the mind. Section 42, 43, and 44. For a deluded intellect, the world is the only reality, even though it is non-existent. While dream is contradicted by the waking state is contradicted by the dream state. Both are refractions of consciousness brought about by the illusion. Both are superimposed on self. For the question why Leela 1 and Leela 2 look similar, Goddess Saraswati says, similar karmas can give rise both similar as well as dissimilar conditions. With deep insight, you can understand the illusoriness of the world. At the time of birth, death becomes illusory. During dream state, waking state does not exist. Upon waking, dream becomes non-existent. All this illusory world is sustained by the reality of the self. Leela 2 exists as an image of Leela 1, but due to force of consciousness that underlies the subtle desires of Viduratha, she has been rendered real. The power of consciousness is endless. Section 45. Due to the boon given to Leela 2, she can enter Padma's world with her physical body.
Did
Leela,
we do that one?
No, no,
I thought you did. I thought
No, we
No,
stopped at
no.
254.
No, we did not. We did.
Okay.
I'm
That's fine.
glad you have read it, and so now you can explain to us more when we read it. So you can say the same story about the Leela and the Padma and the Viduratha about the what do you call jivas going from one body to the other, and the illusion of the space and time is beautifully given in this story. And because in the same place that the Brahmana, the Vashishta, and Arundhati were there, and the same place in a different, what do you call it, a state of uh, mind, or the creation, that the Padma and Leela lived. And then again, when the Padma died, then in a different world and the same physical location, that he uh, went through the experiences of the Vidurata also. And when the Vidurata had so much attachment to his first wife, and so apparently the mind created another Leela, a lady who looked just like her, for serving his, what you call, mental vasanas. So the whole world, like we are learning, is nothing but our mental projection of the total. What you see is the cosmic mind, and each one of us project our own vasanas in this world. So we will continue. And Nulikar, you want to continue, sir?
Okay, sir. So section 45. Goddess Saraswati grants a boon to Leela, Vidruta's queen. That's Leela 2. Sri Saraswati said, O Leela, King Vidruta is going to be killed in this battle. After that, he will enter again into the body of Padma, which lies covered with flowers in your palace. After hearing this, Leela too said, O goddess, I have always been a devotee of Goddess Saraswati. Many times during my dreams, I have been blessed with the vision of Goddess Saraswati. You look exactly like the divine vision of my dream. Surely you are the goddess whom I have worshipped day and night. Please confer on me this boon. When my husband dies, may I follow him to his next embodiment as King Padma and be his queen. May I enter into the Padma's world with my physical body.
Want to comment?
Well, there is nothing much, as far as the teaching, it is just, because she was a devotee of a goddess, she got the boon that when Padma moves back to to his original body, the Vidurata, when he moves into the Padma's body, she wants to go in with her,
Right.
in her, with her body
Yeah,
to serve people.
right. So just like the Leela was asked in the previous story, the original Leela was asking about the Padma. He wanted the Padma's jiva to remain in this that space. He remained in that space, but as Vidurata, he lived his life. And because of the Leela 2 is actually the shadow of the Leela 1. Naturally, she also was the worshipper of Saraswati Devi. That's how I am understanding. And now she wants to go in her physical body to the other world. So we will see what happens. So, and Dinesh is not here, and Hema Amma is not here. Karpagam, you want to read, Amma?
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Goddess Saraswati replied, O Leela too, I am immensely pleased with your devotion. Therefore, your boon is granted. You will enter your husband's next world, even with your physical body. On hearing this, Leela the first was confounded. Wishing to be enlightened on this matter? She asked. O goddesses, you are endowed with the power of Satya Kama, the ability to convert every desire or thought into reality. You have the power to bring me into this world of King Vidurata, even in my physical form. So why did you teach me the art of leaving the physical body and traveling through the subtle worlds with the subtle body? While this Leela too has been granted the boon of going to the world of Padma in her own physical body. I do not understand this apparent partiality.
Want to comment?
She wanted to know why she has granted a physical body in the other one. She didn't, she has to travel with a subtle body.
Yeah.
That's all I understood.
Yeah. So, first time when Leela was brought to Padma, when the Padma was 16 years old, king, that she
With the-
came in the physical body. But later on, the second time when she came back, that she was in the spiritual body. So the question is, uh, how is it that it came in the physical body first, and the same way the Leela too is going in the physical body? So the answer the Saraswati Ji, the Devi is going to give, because it's all our identification with our bodies. If I'm identified with my physical body, that even though after I die, I go to another world, then I'm still thinking I am in the same physical body. And but what happened to Leela 1 is that in the process of seeing the our previous life as Vashishta and Arundhati and all that, and, with the uh, company of the goddess, that she had spiritually grown and had disidentified with the physical body. And so, uh, knowing that she is not the physical body, she was traveling with the subtle body the second time. But the Leela too is still attached to the physical body, and so she thinks that she is going to the Padma's world in her physical body. So that's how I understood it. So, and Mano Naidu, you want to continue, Amma?
Goddess Saraswati replied, I am the deity presiding over consciousness in every being. I grant whatever the individual soul wishes on the basis of its devotion to me. I do not impose anything upon anyone on the basis of my own wishes because I have none. In fact, I do nothing to anyone. Every soul receives from me whatever he desires. Since I am the deity of his consciousness, I allow his sincerest desires to be fulfilled. You have adored me for attaining wisdom and liberation. Therefore, you have been led to journey through the subtle worlds with your subtle body. You have been given the experiences which are necessary for your enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's pretty much Goddess Saraswati is telling that whatever the person wishes, that's what is she is giving them. And she says because of her devotion to goddess as well as adoration to her, she is attaining the wisdom and the liberation.
Right.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah. So the same thing Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that whatever the uh, people want, then I bless them. And whatever the kind of gods that they worship, I make their faith firm in that. And so, like that, everything depends upon us. The Bhagavan is not going to tell you, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But that was only when Arjuna surrendered to Lord Krishna, then the teaching came. But we pray to Bhagavan as if that we know better, and we say, I want this, I want that. Bhagavan says, Tathastu, and goes away. So, very nice. And Manoj is not here. Maya, you want to read, Amma?
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Whatever boon a person receives from a deity is due to his own self-effort. Your own self-effort assumes the form of god or goddess and grants a boon that is the fruit of your sustained movement. An individual determines what is good for himself. Then he directs his effort towards the attainment of what is good. As a result of his sustained effort, I, the deity of his consciousness, grant him success. Knowing this, O Leela, direct your attention to liberation, the highest attainment, and be free.
Comment?
So, yes, here what I understood that it says, whatever boon a person receives, deity means whoever deity the person selects, like Saraswati or Krishna or whoever, and then they make the effort to to get the boons from that particular god, and then they receive according to their efforts, how much efforts they have put. And then I guess that's what maybe Raghuji, you can explain it more.
Yeah. So, when we are identified with our body and say, I am putting my self effort and I am doing this action and I want this result, and then Bhagavan in my heart will say, Tathastu. You just continue. Only when I surrender myself to Bhagavan and say, Bhagavan, I want your guidance, you guide me, and I just surrender completely to you. Then Bhagavan takes over and blesses, just like Lord Krishna blessed Arjuna, and here Saraswati Devi is blessing the Leela 1. Only when you ask for guidance, Bhagavan says yes. Otherwise, leave you alone. That's what we all need to do for our own children when they grow up and adults. Whatever they want to do, they continue to do. Only when they ask for guidance, if you know better, you help them. And the same way, Bhagavan is completely democratic. Like it says, individual determines what is good for himself. Only when you become a Ananya Bhakta, that Bhagavan, you alone is my goal, nothing else is I want. Only then the Bhagavan speaks to you, directs you through your pure heart. And anything that happens through you at that time is completely the Bhagavan's own actions through that body.
Here, one thing I want to add that in the end, Saraswati ji is telling Leela is that knowing this, O Leela, direct your attention to liberation, the highest attainment, and be free.
Right.
She's even advising her not to keep on saying to go back to the body and all that.
Correct.
She's saying, put your attention to liberation.
Right. Yeah, she wanted to know more about this life and that life and all that. And now, being in the company of Saraswati Devi, that apparently is getting purified, and Saraswati Devi is giving the advice to. Correct, beautiful. Is Nag, you want to continue, sir?
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om.
Section 46 to 51. King Viduratha fights with King Sindhu. Sri Rama asked, O sage, when the two Leelas and the goddess were conversing among themselves in the royal palace, King Viduratha went out of the palace to fight with his enemies. What happened to him? Sri Vashishta replied, O Rama, King Vidratha organized his entire army, and like the moon surrounded by stars, he proceeded to meet his enemies in the battlefield. King Vidratha was riding in a chariot that was yoked to 8 powerful horses. Soon the battlefield resounded with the neighing of the horses, the clatter of weapons, the hissing of arrows, the cries of the injured, the shouts of the warriors, and the tumultuous sound of drums and conches. While the two armies were fighting this terrible battle, the two Leelas asked the goddess, O goddess, King Vidratha is your devotee. He has received your grace. So why is it he winning this battle?
Yeah. Want to comment?
No, it is just a story.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. That's true. Okay. Rakesh ji, you want to continue, sir?
Hari Om. Goddess Saraswati replied, O daughters, King Sindhu is also my devotee. He has worshipped me for the sake of attaining victory over his enemies. Therefore, he is going to be victorious. King Vidurtha did not worship me for the attainment of victory. He has sought my grace to re enter the body of King Padma and then to attain liberation. Therefore, he is going to be defeated and killed. I am the deity of consciousness seated in the heart of all living beings. Whosoever worships me receives my grace according to his desire. One who worships me for victory and success in this world attains then, but one who worships me for liberation is led through the experiences of life that are conducive of spiritual enlightenment. Hari Om.
Yeah. Want to comment?
His story was telling about enlightenment because story continue or the but he said to worship me for liberation is led through the experience of life that are conducive for spiritual enlightenment.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you are asking for the material gains, tatastu. And if you want to enjoy the heavenly pleasures in heavenly worlds, Bhagavan says tatastu. But if you say, no, I have had enough of this roller coaster game of samsara, I want to come to you. I want to the knowledge that of my real nature. And Bhagavan says, good. I'm glad at last you learned the lesson. And so, very nice. And Ratnama, you want to continue, please?
Yes, Hari Om. O children, King Vidratha will go back to the body of King Padma and will abide with both of you as an enlightened personality. In due course of time, all three of you will enter into the state of disembodied liberation. Sri Vashishta continued. While Goddess Saraswati was talking to the two Leelas, the sun began to set in the western horizon. The fight between the two armies were terrible. It was as if two oceans had come to fuse with each other during the time of universal dissolution. Soon the two kings came face to face in the process of fighting. King Vidratha exhibited his extraordinary skill in shooting arrows. Arrows streamed from his bow like cascading waters. But King Sindhu was equally valiant in counteracting the arrows of immense power. Both the kings used celestial weapons governed by the powers of various gods.
Want to comment?
Okay. You know, so here the Vashishta continued that goddess Saraswati was when she was talking with two Leelas, the fight between the Sindhu king and the Vidratha started, and then both were skillful, both had the good weapons, and they tried to beat one another. So, and with both the kings also, they had celestial weapons of God given, and they're using. And there were two of them were valiant, but one was wanted the liberation. Sindhu king wanted the to win the battle. Hari Om. In the end, you will know. Hari Om.
Thank you, Amma. Sarvesh ji, want to continue, sir?
Sarvesh is not here. Thanks.
Oh, he's not here. Okay. Sudhir ji. Sudhir ji is not here today too. Umar Shankar, you want to read, Amma?
Yeah. King Sidhu discharged an arrow governed by serpents. The sky became filled with hissing snakes, but King Viduratha counteracted that weapon by discharging an arrow governed by Garuda, a bird that feeds on snakes. The snakes soon disappeared. Similarly, King Sindhu discharged the fire weapon, which was counteracted by the water weapon discharged by King Viduratha. The weapon governed by wind was counteracted by the weapon governed by mountains. The weapon governed by thunderbolts was counteracted by the weapon governed by Brahma.
One read one more.
During this terrible battle, King Sindhu lost his chariot. He continued fighting on foot, and with the dexterity of his hands, he destroyed Viduratha's chariot. Consequently, both the kings began to fight on foot. In the course of fight, King Sindhu threw a spear which pierced the heart of King Viduratha. However, he did not die immediately.
Yeah. Want to comment? It's just a story of how they're fighting. So there's no real spiritual meaning in it. And so both of them are fighting vigorously with each other. So we'll continue. Veena Amma, you want to continue, please?
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Raghuji. At this stage of the battle, Leela too asked Leela, O goddess, how terrible. King Sindhu is looking for a powerful weapon to destroy my husband. But behold, our king, even though injured, has skillfully entered into his own chariot. But alas, even that chariot has been destroyed by King Sindhu. Now the enemy king has pierced the shoulders of my husband. Leela too fell down in a swoon and departed. In the meantime, the king's chariot lifted the wounded body of the king into another chariot and drove back to the palace. The enemies chased the chariot up to the palace gates. The wounded king was brought into the presence of goddess Saraswati. Because of her divine presence, his enemies were not able to pursue him into his palace. And then, in the presence of the goddess, the king passed away. Sri Vashishta continued, O Ram, King Sindhu and his army began to shout with joy. They declared their victory and rejoiced at the death of their enemy. While great rejoicing took place among the enemy of King Sindhu, a mantle of dark pathos fell upon the relatives, friends, and soldiers of King Vidurtha. Again, they are just explaining how they were fighting and how Vidurtha was killed and was brought to the palace in the presence of goddess Saraswati.
Yeah.
And how Sindhu's people were rejoicing and they were saddened with the death of Vidurtha.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Swamiji has given all the description, though in a summary form of the whole fight. This whole thing was in what is that? 48 and 49 chapter. 2 chapters. Swamiji has condensed into only a page and a half. So that's nice. Okay, now we'll go back to Akila Amma.
Hari Om Raghuji.
Hari Om.
I don't know if it's a question or a comment. So, just like in Mahabharata, Dhritarashtra was able to see the battle. Here also, the two Leelas, even though they are not in the battlefield, they are sitting away in the palace. It's probably because of Goddess Saraswati that they are able to witness the battle, right?
How do you know that they were
I'm just
witnessing?
saying. I'm just saying.
I don't know. At least I don't get that implication in this one. Do anybody see any implication in the whole story?
No, I'm just asking, is that why they are able to see?
No. Leela 2 says that the husband is now lost his chariot and getting into the second chariot and everything. Leela is asking Saraswati.
Right.
So that implies Leela is also watching the war.
Yeah. That way it's possible that they were given the vision of that the war. Good, very good.
Okay. Sections 52 and 53, King Viduratha dies and Leela too reaches the world of Padma. More illusions of the world process. King Viduratha was about to depart from his body. Seeing this, Leela asked Goddess Saraswati, O Goddess, my husband is ready to leave the body of Viduratha. Behold how he struggles to free himself from this physical body. Goddess Saraswati said, O gentle Leela, you have seen this great battle and have witnessed the terrible events, and yet all this exists like a dream. Nothing has been created and nothing has been destroyed.
Comment.
So she sees her husband's body struggle to leave. It's like pranavastha that you talk about sometimes in the other classes, right? You have mentioned that word,
Right.
pranavastha.
Yeah.
So it is just like that. So, but Goddess Saraswati, instead of explaining that, she just says, you have seen the battle and everything else, but all this exists like a dream. And so nothing has ever happened. It is just on the screen. You see it like a movie. That's it.
So if you're sitting in a movie, if you get so engrossed in the movie, then if Sita Devi is crying and we cry, and if Ramana is killed, we get excited and happy like that. But it's all just a uh, light and darkness shadows on a screen. And so that's how he is telling here that this whole thing is nothing but our mental projections. So very good. Anjaneyaru sir, you want to continue?
Sure. Hari Om Raghuji.
Hari Om sir.
Recall, O Leela, the small space in the house of Brahmin Vashishta in the world system where there is a village known as Parvatagrama. Recall, O Leela, the different world system containing Parvatagrama. In that village there lived a Brahmin known as Vashishta. In the space of Vashishta's room, there exists another world system. It is in that world that the spirits of Vashishta and his wife Arundhati became King Padma and his beloved Queen Leela. It is not a wonder how the vast world of Padma is confined to a little space in the room of Brahmin Vashishta. And this creation is still more wondrous. In a room of King Padma's palace, in a small space, the spirit of King Padma has experienced a world system wherein he became a king known as the Viduratha. All that you have witnessed is confined to a little space in King Padma's room.
Want to comment?
So it is so going. It is the source. It looks like going to the Brahmin Vasishta's room in the small place Parvatagrama. In that the world, delusory world of total all world spirits of Vasishta and his wife Arundhati became King Padma and his beloved. So they both again became Arundhati, Padma and Queen Leela. So the sources are Vasishta and Parvatagrama, it looks
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it shows that when we are dreaming, we feel as if that we have gone somewhere, some other world, some other place, or even gone to India and all that. But everything is just a mental projection in my own bed. The same way it is happening here, that all this is waking, so-called waking world experience is also a dream. And the same thing can happen in different world systems, in different what do you call levels of awareness, that you can see all these things happening, but showing the illusoriness of the space and time. So Ashwin, want to continue, sir?
Hariom. Understand the illusoriness of this world, O Leela, and direct your mind to the eternal self wherein the worlds cease to exist. That self is non dual, unborn, immortal, and the supreme abode of all souls. All this is indeed that supreme self. O Leela, the moment Leela too fell into a swoon, her spirit departed, and she has now reached the world of King Padma. She is seated by the dead body of the king, which is still covered with flowers. Should I continue?
Yeah.
Leela asked, O goddess, why has Leela too already reached King Padma's body? What has led her to become a co-wife in my palace? How will all this be understood by my attendants in the world of King Padma?
Comment?
Um, yeah, I mean, here, um, it's Saraswati Devi is it's like telling Leela to understand the illusoriness of the world, right? Like this is just a dream, like a dream. Nothing is real, and asking her to direct her mind to the eternal self, which is the only truth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then yeah, I mean, pretty much, it's like all this, everything is illusionary.
Yeah. Yes. So the thing is, if the younger Leela has gone to the Padma's world, so the original Leela is asking, hey, how is that relation going to be? How would the people look at it with two wives, two Leelas there? Uh, so we'll see what Saraswati Devi explains. So we'll continue. And is Ashwin finished, right?
Yes, Ravi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dr. Noli garu, continue, sir.
Yes, sir. Goddess Saraswati explained, O Leela, this terrible war that you have seen is illusory. Similarly, even the form of Leela too is illusory. The death of the king Vidratha is also an illusory development. In fact, both you and Leela too are illusions sustained by the eternal self. King Padma exists only like an apparent reality, like a mirage, or the passing contents of a dream. This Leela too, yourself, myself, King Padma, and this world, all these are appearances sustained by the reality of the non-dual self.
Continue, please.
In this apparent world, we exist in each other's minds and are sustained by the thoughts and desires arising from our minds. When your husband, King Padma, died, his desire to be in your company gave rise to a projected Leela too, in the world of King Vidratha.
Want to comment?
Well, this is more or less the whole matter goddess is talking about. Everything is illusory. Nothing is, it's only an appearance.
Yeah.
And in the Leela too is nothing but Padma's desire to be with the company of Leela 1. So this Leela 2 got projected.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like a soap opera.
Yes.
But in the process, you can see in a subtle way that Goddess Saraswati is giving that spiritual knowledge to her. All this world of your names and forms, your husband and kingdom, everything is just mental projection sustained by that pure Atman, the Supreme Self alone. And so you are that Supreme Self and get detached from this illusory projection. So, okay. Karpagam, you want to continue, Ma?
All experiences in life are projections on the screen of pure consciousness caused by the operations of vasanas, subtle desires of the mind. It is the miracle of vasana that makes an object seem real in this world of illusion. When the soul of Leela too willed to depart from her body, it became identified with her astral body, passed out of her mouth, and departed from this world. She experienced death much like a swoon and now sees herself as a physical personality due to the power of her mentation.
Comment?
I don't understand it, so you do it, please.
Okay. They can say that her wish was to go in her physical body to the Padma's world. And so, since she was still identified with the physical body, when she swooned, she assumed, oh, I'm just passed away. Okay. And in that, she thinks that she in the physical body, she has reached the Padma's world. But actually, what happened is, she really died, and only the subtle body went to the Padma's world. But because of her identification with the physical body, she still thinks that she is in that physical body. Being everything being a illusion. So, Mano Naidu, you want to continue, Amma?
Sri Vashishta continued, O Rama, when Leela too died in the world of King Vidratha, her spirit identified itself with her mental body and flew into the sky with the intention of going to the world of King Padma to meet her husband. On the way, she was welcomed and guided by the spirit of her young daughter by King Vidratha. Apparently, the young daughter of Leela too had also departed from her physical body, but her spirit, pursuing the course of its karma, did not materialize in the world of King Padma. After guiding Leela too through the astral planes, the daughter spirit vanished. After Leela too entered into the world of King Padma, she found herself seated by the dead body of the king. She felt that she had journeyed through the astral worlds in her own physical body from the world of King Vidratha, and this was possible through the grace of Goddess Saraswati.
Yeah.
It's to me like a story coming. Leela too died and she's coming to the world of the Vidratha. On the way, she saw her young daughter who guided her to the king Vidratha. And the young daughter of Leela too, obviously she departed from her physical body, but her spirit still, because of the karma, did not materialize in the world of King Padma.
Right.
And then the last one tells us that Leela too entered into the world of King Padma and found herself seated by the dead body of the king.
Yeah. 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 Nice story. Maya, continue, Amma.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thinking within herself, how fortunate I am to have joined my husband, who lies here wounded and who will come back to life by the blessings of Goddess Saraswati. Leela too began to fan the face of the king. Goddess Saraswati said to Leela the first, O Leela, you yourself have appeared in the form of Leela too because of your intense desire to be with your husband. Leela too is nothing but a shadow proceeding from your personality. Leela asked, O goddess, why is the second Leela welcomed by the servants and attendants of the king? Are they not surprised to see a strange personality? You want me to continue?
I just read one more paragraph, Amma.
Goddess Saraswati replied, O Leela, behold the miracle of Maya, cosmic illusion. Leela too is not viewed as a stranger. Rather, they accept her as their queen. All relationships are sustained by the vibrations of the mind, led by divine will and sustained by the reality of the self. Human beings find themselves involved in of different patterns of relationships, and they resign to the apparent realities of existence.
Yeah. Comment?
Well, this is just a story. Actually, the Leela 2 is in her physical body, but Leela 1 is surprised because she's not in physical body, but goddess is telling her this: you and her are not any different. You are the same. So your desire was to become Leela 2. So that's what I understood here.
Yeah. Her desire was to be with the husband, and
Yeah.
that intense desire, and the husband's desire to be with his wife in the next world also resulted in that projection of Leela too. Well, hard to get everything understood properly. Nag, you want to continue, sir?
But both you and Leela too are aware of the subtler mysteries behind the apparent realities of the world. Leela asked, O goddess, Leela too had received the boon that she would go to the world of Padma with her own body. Why is it that even though she was granted the boon, yet she had to leave her physical body behind? Goddess Saraswati explained, it is impossible for the body of dream to enter into the body of waking state. But those who are ignorant about the nature of the self or identify with their physical bodies, they cannot physically move from one plane to another.
Yeah. Comment?
Yeah, well, that's 1 minute when we read. I thought I understand a lot, but when I think again, I understand it's really more confusing than understanding it. And it is more confusing when I try to apply this Padma and the Leela story to my life and think where I will fit in my own life dream. It's getting really wacko.
You are hoping for another wife there or what?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Project in your dream and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay, already. And Rakesh ji?
Hari Om. The awareness of the body is sustained by mental impressions. This is why Leela too did not feel that her body was left behind. Her experience was that she was guided to the world of Padma with her own physical body. Those who meditate upon the reality, I am not this body, rise beyond the physical body, they gain the power of Sankalpa, true willing. Thereby, they can move to any plane of existence without a change of bodies, since they possess none. Hari Om.
Want to comment?
Yeah, just telling him, I don't know how to get that stage. Like you can go from body to other body, from physical to the astral and all, subtle body. But he said, once you really work on it and you can get a sankalpa, work hard on it, and you get to that stage to get in that area.
Yeah.
Hari Om.
Yeah. So once you disidentify with the body and say, I am not this body, I am the pure consciousness, then you get the capacity to move to any plane of existence. So very nice. And Ratnama, want to continue, please? Section 54.
The process of death and the karmas that determine the lifespan of an individual. Leela said, "O goddess, King Vidarta is about to die. What leads to one's death? What determines the lifespan of an individual? Please enlighten me on these points." Goddess Saraswati said, "The karmas of a person determine his lifespan. Some karmas bring about death in childhood, some cause death in youth, some allow a person to die in old age. Those who have lived a righteous life and are sustained by righteous karmas live a life as long as the ideal life described in the scripture. The karmas of an individual are related to time, space, activity, and material resources. They are either good or evil. They determine one's experiences after death, the nature of the next embodiment, one's life span, and all experiences of pleasure and pain.
Comment?
It is here. I feel that it is all what karmas we do in our life. That is the thing that determines your next life.
Yeah.
Or is your wishes that you have the longing for it. Or maybe that will take, I don't know, Dr. Raghu, you please tell me. Hari Om.
Yeah. So the karma theory is beautifully being explained here. Why some people die in your young age, some people die old age, and what determines you to live a full life is your past righteous karmas. So the karmas can be either good or evil, and that determines our future life embodiments. So
it is actually whatever we do in this life, the next life is according to what we do here.
not necessarily in this life, it can be from the past lives, other past lives also. But if you had an intense desire for something at the time of death or something, then that's supposed to determine your next birth.
So it is all the past karmas that determines our life.
Correct. Okay, Uma, continue, Uma.
Leela asked, "O goddess, is death painful or pleasant? What happens after death? Must all people have similar experiences after death, or do different people have different experiences?" Goddess Saraswati explained, "There are three types of dying persons: the dull witted, the yogi who is striving to practice concentration and meditation, and the established yogi."
Continue.
One who has not purified his intellect by good association and has remained sunk in the muddy water of ignorance experiences intense pain during death. He feels as if he has been thrown into a blazing furnace. His throat begins to choke, strange noises proceed from his throat, his eyeballs turn upwards, and the very complexion of his face changes. He sees nothing but darkness before his eyes. He is unable to express himself. His senses become dull, and his mind is overpowered by delusion. He enters into a state which is inert like a stone.
Comment?
Yeah, we have to do good deeds.
Yeah, yeah.
Then,
There are two kinds of three kinds of jivas. The one is dull-witted, who remains identified with the BMI and doesn't know anything about the other worlds or liberation, and being completely selfish. He in the big paragraph, how he dies is explained. And the other one is people like us who are striving for the knowledge and striving to be on the spiritual path with satsangs and all that. And then the third one is a perfected yogi, that who has realized his real self. Now we are going to see the second one, I guess. And Veenaji, continue.
At the moment of death, he feels as if he is drowning in the ocean, as if he is borne on through the sky, as if thrown into a dark well, as if driven through a dense stone, as if the very world had been turned topsy-turvy. Experiencing numerous afflictions, he passes on into the deep swoon of death. Goddess Saraswati continued, O Leela, such is the divine will which causes the soul to experience pleasure and pain according to its karma. At the time of death, guided by the divine will, the Saman Prana, the vital force which performs the function of digestion and assimilation, stops performing its function. The astral channels, nadis, become blocked. They do not allow the pranas to flow in a healthy manner. When the pranas cease functioning, one is said to be dead.
Yeah.
So I think they're explaining how the death comes in different ways and how the prana stops, and that's when we are pronounced dead.
Right.
Dead.
Yeah. So in a regular person, how the process of death happens is being beautifully explained by the goddess. What happens to the prana? The person goes into swoon, and that means he loses the consciousness, and then the pranas starts folding up. So the digestive process goes down, and then the prana which withdraws from all the sensory functions of the hearing and sight and all that, and then the apana vayu is the one that helps the jiva to leave the body, depending upon its karmas. So, okay, and we have to go back all the way to Vijay is not here, right? No. Okay. Akilama.
Raghuji, Sarveshwarji is here now.
Oh, okay. No, he's not here. Okay. Akilama, continue.
Okay. Death is caused by the sankalpa or will of the soul. Since the soul is essentially the divine self, it is the divine will that sanctions the individual's will's decision to bring about the death of the body. Led by the illusion of the world process, the individual soul rises to higher levels or descends to lower levels of consciousness. Like a river that flows sometimes with clear water and sometimes with muddy water, so the stream of individual existence is at times brightened by good karmas and at other times tinted by evil karmas. The essence of the soul is pure consciousness. This consciousness cannot die. The true identity of a person is not his body, nor his vital forces, nor his senses, nor his mind or intellect. Therefore, how can this consciousness be said to die? So, um, he tells us, Swamiji tells us how the death occurs and why it occurs. It is because of the sankalpa of the soul itself. And this sankalpa of the divine self or the divine will is the one that sanctions the soul, the individual soul's will to leave the body or exit the body or the death of the body. So he says this is an illusion of the world process itself. And then he talks about how the soul is a pure conscious, the soul cannot die. There is no death for the soul. And so the person's identity with the body is not right. The identity with the vital forces is not it, and nor his senses. So the soul, how can the soul itself die, he says.
Yeah. So I like that second paragraph. He talks about like a river that the jiva flows up and down in different directions and all that, like the water in the river flows. And it can go up, it can come down, depending upon its vasanas. But
I have a question. Can I ask? According to this paragraph we just Akhlaji read, that if soul decides how long it's going to stay in that particular body.
yes, yeah, based on its karmas, it is the soul that decides, and it is the Atman inside that says tatastu.
Thank you.
Why? Did you have any doubt or questions?
That's all I wanted to know. That's
Okay.
what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, I think the last paragraph is beautiful, showing that, like a Panchakosha Viveka, that you are not the physical body, you are not the pranas, you are not the mind, you are not the intellect, and you are that pure consciousness. And that consciousness never dies. So that's why we never want to die. Why? Because our nature is deathlessness, that immortal. And so that's why, unfortunately, identified with the body, mind, and the intellect, that we think that we die, but we want to live forever. So we can live forever when we realize that I am not the body, mind, and the intellect. I am the pure Atman. Okay.
Raghuji, I have a question. So when the soul decides all the karmas are exhausted, then it leaves the body. Would that be an explanation?
Say it again.
That when all the karmas that comes with that soul, took the body up, then when all the karmas are exhausted by the body,
Right.
whatever.
Yes, correct. That
Then the
prarabdha
soul
karmas with which that it came, and when the prarabdha karmas were exhausted, yes, correct. That body leaves. Correct.
Thank you.
Anjaneyulu, sir.
Yeah, Raghuji. How can a person witness his own death? Who has ever witnessed the death of consciousness? It is pure consciousness that assumes the form of numerous souls abiding in numerous bodies. In spite of the illusory drama of birth and death, the self in every being is immortal, deathlessness, and free. In fact, the experiences of birth and death are projections of the mind caused by one's vasanas, subtle desires. There is neither death nor birth nor for you. You are the immortal self. When an aspirant studies the scriptures under the guidance of a guru, and when he practices listening, reflection, and meditation, his desires based upon the illusions of multiplicity of the world are replaced by the vision of non-duality. Then he becomes an established yogi. He is ever free from birth and death. So the truth of is the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The truth is established here, and the Upayita Chaitanya is nothing. Jiva Bhava, which is a delusory nature, whereas Chaitanya is immortal and eternal. So we, due to adhyasa and all projections, we assume that we are the body, mind, and intellect, or we are the panchakoshas. So once that knowledge dawns upon that jiva, then he becomes immortal and established in that true self, which is the uh, real nature of the individual. He becomes a Jivan Mukta and is free from the Janma Marna cycle of birth and death.
Raghuji, you're muted.
Muted. Thank you, Amma. Yes, I had a phone call, so I tuned. So, yes, by the last paragraph is beautiful. How a person gets realization with the help of the scriptures and the Guru, by Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam, and all his desires based upon illusions of multiplicity of the world are replaced by the vision of non-reality. Hey, everything is just a projection. So then he will live in this world like a dream. Everything is a dream, everything is like a drama, and he enjoys the whole process. So called the material success or material failures and sorrows, everything he looks at it as just a drama, like in a movie. And so, very good. Ashwin, you want to continue, sir?
Yeah, Hari Om. Section 55. Experiences after death. Leela asked, "O goddess, please enlighten me more on the subject of death and on what happens to different souls after death. This will intensify my dispassion towards the world process." Goddess Saraswati replied, "When the pranas cannot flow through the nadis, astral channels, they begin to depart from the body. Then the mind moves into the heart and consciousness becomes, as it were, without any vibration. This is called death. When the body, which is already inert, is deprived of pranas, it is called dead. People in this world call the departed spirit preta. After death, the spirit is mingled with its subtle desires, much like wind that carries fragrance. After it discards this body, this soul is compelled by its subtle desires and it becomes eager to behold new forms of the world process. Having passed through the swoon-like state of death, the spirit wakes up to find itself in another body.
Yeah. Comment?
Yeah, here the experiences after death is being described. So Goddess Saraswati is explaining that the death happens when the pranas are not able to flow through the nadis.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just the process of death is explained over here in the first para.
Yeah.
And then in the second one it says like once the departed spirit, like it leaves the body, it because of its subtle desires, it tries to find another body to experience, the vasanas and the desires. So it just moves from one body to another.
Yeah. So just like beautifully said in the first paragraph, Leela is asking tell me more about the process of death and all that, so that she can get more dispassion to this world process. Same way that we all are benefiting by studying this and understanding the illusoriness of the world process. In spite of that, when we close the book, then we go back to the so-called real world. And so that's why we need a constant study, constant mananam, constant nididhyasanam is necessary. Otherwise, we forget and we go slide back into our physical bodily identification. So, Nuligar, you want to continue, sir?
Sir. O Leela, there are 6 types of departed souls, pretas: sinful, moderately sinful, intensely sinful, virtuous, moderately virtuous, and intensely virtuous. An ordinary sinner is led to human embodiment in a short time. He is guided by his vasanas, subtle desires, to experience a human birth, even as a person is led to experience the world of dreams. One who is moderately sinful is a greater sinner than the previous kind. He experiences a stone-like state of swoon for a long time. Then he is born as various animals and birds. Having passed through many such embodiments, he finally becomes a human being again. One who is intensely sinful continues to suffer hellish miseries after death. He drifts from one pain to another. After passing through numerous embodiments as insect, birds, and animals, he attains human embodiment.
Want to comment?
Well, there's, Devi is telling there are 6 types of departed souls. Of course, these are sinful, moderately sinful, and intensely sinful, virtuous, moderately virtuous, and intensely virtuous. So she is talking about, for the virtuous people, because of his vasanas, he guided to experience human birth. So he goes into the human birth. And whereas a moderately sinful soul will go into a swoon like for a long time. Then he is born in various animals and birds. Having passed through many such embodiments, he finally becomes again a human being. And one is intensely sinful, continues to suffer hellish miseries after death. He drifts from one pain to another after passing through numerous embodiments. They are like insect, birds, animals. He attains human embodiment.
Yeah.
So the hell is still there.
Yeah, hell is still there, but it's all in the subtle world in the form of a subtle mind. So that we experience, and if I have been so bad in this world, so selfish, very Thomasic, and injuring the other people, then naturally I go into what in Garuda Purana beautifully says, various kinds of narakas that the people experience depending upon the kind of sinful activities that we do. So that's was said in only one sentence here. One who is intensely sinful continue to suffer hellish miseries after death. But everything is for the purification of the soul. And I did bad things, and so I have to experience the results of my bad actions. And then after being purified after a long time, then I will get another human birth and a chance to spiritually grow. But everything depends upon our, unfortunately, on our vasanas. And but a mildly sinful person immediately gets a human birth, but a moderately sinful person goes through that stone-like state. Just like there is no consciousness in the stone, and that jiva is supposed to remain like that in a stone-like state for a long time, and before it takes another birth. another jiva, even that only animal and birds only. So, okay, Karpagam, you want to continue, Amma?
After one who is moderately virtuous dies, he sees himself being guided by divine beings through heavenly gardens that abound with beautiful trees, creepers, and flowers. He enjoys celestial pleasures on the basis of his good karmas. When he exhausts the karmas that bear fruit in the heavenly world, he falls from the heavens, and having passed through wind, rain, and food, he enters into a male body and then passes on to a female body. Thus, he incarnates as a human being. One who is intensely virtuous experiences more intensive joys of the heavenly world until following a similar process. He is finally led to be born in a righteous family. All experiences of heaven and hell take place in the heart of a person. He does not really go anywhere. He is ever the self that transcends time and space. However, such is the miracle of vasanas, that one feels that he has been led to different planes, that he has experienced different conditions of pleasures and pain, and that he must continue to wander the world process driven by his karmas.
Amen.
Just says about, if you have a good karma, then you go to the heavenly place.
Yeah.
And if you do intense karmas, he will born into a righteous family. That's what I understood.
Yeah. So, like in the end of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna beautifully describes, after going to the heavenly worlds, enjoying the celestial pleasures, then you come back to this world. But actually in Mundakopanishad, it is even said the other way, that after enjoying the pleasures of the world, you come back to a human life or even to a animal life based on your karmas. But intensely virtuous person, like Lord Krishna says in the 6th chapter, that he will be born in what we call a virtuous family. Where he remembers his past, what he call sadhanas, and forcefully is continued to do the sadhanas and to attain the realization. But all these experiences are where heaven and hell, everything is in our own heart. So it's not a separate world, that it's just that like a dream, we go through that state in our subtle body.
But even the near-death experiences, they talk about more or less like the moderate virtuous guys.
Right.
They see all those things.
Correct. Yeah. So right. That's why we don't hear any stories about hellish experiences. Those people don't come back to tell us all that. So,
Raghuji, I would say it this way, it's very important in this life to gain knowledge about the death, the process of the death, and at the same time, what happens after death. That knowledge, helps you to bring down your ego and,
yeah. To become virtuous and develop dispassion for the material goals. So, right. So, Manonai, do you want to finish, Amma, the chapter?
While the virtuous after their death feel that they are being welcomed by the heavenly gods, the sinners feel that they have been led to the god of death, Yama, and that Yama has passed judgment on them. After experiencing the swoon of death, a departed soul becomes associated with the process of illusory recollections and feels, I am dead. My relatives have performed rituals to help me. My friends have offered prayers for me. A sinful soul feels, no one has offered prayers for me. I am being driven by the messengers of death to experience the fruits of my sinful karmas. I am being led through thorny forests. I am being driven through icy rocks. A moderately virtuous soul feels that he is being led through green pastures, cool shadow trees, and beautiful sights of nature. O Leela, the soul follows the illusory path projected by the vasanas. Now, behold how the soul of Vidurata is intent upon entering the body of Padma. It feels that it has to travel a long way in order to reach Padma's body.
Yeah.
So again, here they're talking more about the, how the virtuous after death they feel, and how the sinful soul feels that nobody prayed for him and all that stuff. But the virtuous person thinks that, he recollects that he is dead, but his relatives performed rituals for him, friends offered prayers and all that. But at the end, Goddess Saraswati is telling to Leela, the soul follows the illusory path projected by the vasanas. So at this time, how the soul of Vidurata is intent upon entering the body of Padma, it might have to travel a long way in order to reach the Padma's body.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful description of the whole thing, and so it's not just a story, but it is a story with a goal of helping us develop dispassion to the world and know that our real nature is that pure Brahman, and we have to realize that in this world itself, having disidentified with the BMI. We all know that all the Panchakosha Viveka and all that, but you have to continue to practice in the form of Nididhyasanam, day 24/7. Very good. Anybody want to have the last word, the word of wisdom? Okay. So we will meet again next Tuesday. And we don't have anything, right, Geeta, next Tuesday?
No, we don't.
Good. So, good. I'm glad. So, let us see who is going to do the summary. Mananaidu, you want to do it, Amma?
Okay.
Good. Very good. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Nam. Hari Om. Thank you all. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Raghuji,
Hari Om, sir.
Raghuji, I have to ask you something.
Okay, Amma.